Apple coming off more than a 3% drop to start the week. For now, the company is keeping quiet on tariffs, but they could have a significant impact on Apple's businesses. For more on this, we want to bring in our own Steve Kovac. And Steve, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, this is an interesting one here because Apple has a few options how to get around these tariffs. Of course, they can always fight for exemptions, but let me break down what they're facing right now that these tariffs have gone into effect. They could, of course, raise prices for their products here in the United States, or they could absorb those costs. Another thing that folks are talking about the last couple of days is diverting their manufacturing as much as they can, either in India or Vietnam, to import those products from those countries instead. But look, none of that is going to be enough to mitigate the entire effect tariffs would have. I was emailing a bit back and forth the last few days with Eric Woodring over at Morgan Stanley. He's one of the axes on Apple. He predicts about a 3% hit to earnings if these tariffs do go into a full effect. And then Gene Munster, our friend over at Deepwater Management, he also noted on the manufacturing front, about half of Apple sales are manufactured in China. That includes 85% of all iPhones. India, we talked about that so much during the pandemic, with Apple diverting some manufacturing over there to diversify their supply chain. Just 10%, according to Gene, of revenue is built in India, though. So Apple could still, of course, fight for exemptions, maybe offer Trump something like an investment in the United States, like they did last time. Trump, in fact, teased that Apple would be announcing a major investment in the United States soon, but Apple has not commented on that. And then, of course, we come to that inauguration moment a couple of weeks ago. That apparently wasn't enough. Tim Cook himself personally donated $1 million to the inauguration and sat behind the president during his swearing in, along with those other tech executives. The idea there, this kind of cozying up to Trump with Cook and his peers and the big technology companies, would kind of ease Trump's attitude towards them. But so far, that doesn't appear to be happening. There doesn't appear to be any exceptions to these guys. And to your point earlier, Becky, you're talking to Kathy Wood about what could Apple do to retaliate. Tesla's a good target. Yeah. Apple's another great target, too. Apple's still trying to launch Apple Intelligence in that country. They need that to grow their iPhone sales. The sales in China were down 11% in the December quarter. They need some more strength in China, and they're not getting any help right now.
I mean, I guess for China, it's a double-edged sword, too, because there are so many manufacturing jobs in China that are reliant on Apple. They're not going to want to cut off their nose to spite their face.
Exactly. There is a symbiotic relationship there, but and especially during the holiday seasons, they literally train in thousands and thousands of workers to these Foxconn factories, and they have these somewhat temporary jobs. So, yes, it is huge for employment. We know China's been struggling. There's also stimulus coming, too. So that is also driving some sales for Chinese-branded smartphones. There's this competition and kind of a nationalist effect that we've been seeing over the last couple of years, with Huawei coming out with phones, taking away share from Apple. So that's another issue.
I get the sense that this is still a negotiation with these tariffs.
Exactly.
So it's hard to draw any hard conclusions.
Nothing's happening until it happens, of course.
And that there won't be exemptions, or that there won't be carve-outs.
But if this does happen, let's say there aren't any carve-outs, let's say it continues full-throated.
It's like jumping straight to the worst-case scenario.
Jumping straight to the worst-case scenario. Analysts are predicting 3 to 4% hit. Again, can Cook convince Trump to give him some kind of exemption like he did last time? And how that happens. I was with Tim Cook last week in Cupertino talking to him about these earnings reports. And, of course, one of my first questions was, has the president indicated to you in any way you're going to get exemptions? And he would not take the bait on that one. He said, we're just monitoring the situation.
Well, he's a smart man.
He's a very smart man. He did it really well in the first term. I think he's doing it again now.
Steve, thank you.
Thanks, guys.